Hey y'all, it's LSD O'Neil here, back with another video. Today I want to talk about something that's been going around again, thanks to originally Coconut and now Scott Jones talked about it as well. Today I wanted to talk about skill-based matchmaking and what it means with Dead by Daylight and maybe even some other games, since I have been around for a while in the gaming sphere. So before Dead by Daylight, I was playing a lot of other things before. Like, I played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege and Overwatch. Those were two of my main games. Two games that are distinctively competitive games at all times. And not saying that Dead by Daylight can't be considered one, but I just can't put it in the same classification personally. Now, I also do currently casually play Fortnite as well, and in a game like that, it makes sense to have skill-based matchmaking. Same with Rainbow Six, and same with Overwatch. But each one does it kind of differently, I feel like, and it just kind of varies. And I think the dev that talked about it in that one tweet was a good point about this. The dev was talking about how it was kind of a spectrum instead of being super strict, and that's why it was super well made and did really well. But a lot of these games these days are doing very strict games of matchmaking, making it really hard and stressful at all times. And I feel like DBD is kind of towards the stricter end, not as strict as, say, maybe even Overwatch, because Overwatch feels like ass to play by yourself because of it. I do believe that it could be worse, and I do believe there is still some variance when I play. It just didn't feel like as much as it used to be with the emblems and things, and I think that's fine. I know some people wish it would go back to the emblem matchmaking, but it's not that big of a deal, honestly. The question is, why are we talking about SBMM again? The thing is, we've been dealing with it for like, what, 2-3 years? I don't remember the exact time frame, but it's been a while. We've had this for a long time at this point, and I would say it's much better than the iteration that we had at the very beginning. At the beginning, it was awful and miserable. I remember having to take a break from the game because it was always so stressful. It has loosened up a good amount. They've hired the cap again, so games don't feel so gosh darn sweaty all the time. But it's still not perfect. I think there's some things that they could do to make it a little better. I do miss the more variants that we used to have, but I still think we have a good amount of it. It makes solo queue hell for me. I don't understand how they do matchmaking for solo queues. It feels very rough. Sometimes the games are great and I have teammates who are actually competent and they know what they're doing, and then sometimes I have games where they are so scared of the killer that they hide the whole time, and I don't understand that kind of situation. And it might be because how they determine MMR being survives and kills, which is also kind of a problem in its own self. I know that we all reference that stupid hockey analogy and stuff like that, and I feel like a game like this does need a little more nuance when it comes to its matchmake rating. We should not be rewarding survivors who run Last Survivor and all those endgame perks to be the last one alive and escape. Those people do not need to be in high MMR because they just ruin the game for everybody else in the team, at least. And that is definitely a problem. Same with like the distortion rats that we like to call out all the time. That kind of play style, yeah, it gives you a higher MMR, but it also destroys your teammates, which is such a drag. I feel like there should be something in place where it should be like, oh, hey, you've done X amount of things and escaped. Awesome. So like at least people who are freeloading don't get free MMR that they don't need, and they don't go against killers that will just stomp them if they ever find them, because that's another problem. It just makes unbalanced matches for both parties. The killers get an easy whop on some kid who doesn't know how to actually chase because they've been playing distortion this whole time and they finally found them. Or the survivor is miserable because they get slapped, they get unhooked, and they get slapped again real fucking quick because they're not ready for this fucking level of play. I feel like Fortnite's MMR makes a lot of sense. It's very loose still, honestly, from what I've experienced. I play it a decent amount. I play it like about maybe once every couple days, and they have to matchmake a lot more people, about 60 people if you include bots, maybe a little more. I don't know the math on that specifically because I don't pay attention. Some games you feel like you get washed, and some games you feel like you're at the top of the world, and it's insane. I don't know what they do specifically. I know they have to pull for so many people and they like shorter queue times, so it makes things a lot better. I just think that it feels better overall to play Fortnite when it comes to quote-unquote skilled matches. I don't think Dead by Daylight is really able to compete with shooters, shooters take a lot more skill than DBD. And when it comes to like micro skill and stuff like that, I think DBD obviously has more macro skill, but you can't really express macro skill the way you do with micro skill, and that makes it feel really bad. Obviously there's some killers that have a lot of micro skill, which feels really good, like the ones that have anti-loot powers and all that stuff, like Huntress, Slinger, Nemi, Xeno, yada yada. But when you start getting into the killers that have a lot more macro, like Larry, Sadako, and all these other characters like Unknown, whatever, they start to feel like you need a lot more skill to play them because they're harder to play. But it also feels like if you aren't playing them any close to well enough, you get stomped. And I think that's really rough because they make the matchmaking rating super similar along all your killers, which can be very problematic because I don't like playing Unknown because I don't have the skills with his stuff yet, with his map control and all this. And so it feels awful to play him because I'm playing against top tier people who already know how to counter Unknown, who already know what they're doing, and I don't. And so yeah, getting stomped every once in a while is fine, but getting stomped every single game starts to really eat on you, and it's just a drag. And MMR is supposed to stop that, but if MMR treats me like I'm a top level player with a character I've never played, I'm gonna get stomped over and over again while I learn that character, and that's annoying. They're like, oh, we adjust for new killers and stuff. No, they don't. It's a fucking load of shit. You top MMR, you're gonna be treated like you're top MMR. Yes, you might have the map sense, you might have the game sense, cool. You still don't have the microplay, and without the microplay, you can't do shit. You're gonna miss every single thing you do. It's like taking Slinger. If you've never played an FPS shooter in your life, I just said FPS shooter, I'm fucking washed. But anyway, if you've never played an FPS before, and you're thrown into Slinger, and maybe you've been playing, I don't know, Blight this whole time, say for some reason you're insane, and you've been maining a Blight, and you're like, I'm gonna try the slow killer now. And you pick up Slinger, you're gonna miss so many shots. You're not gonna understand where you're aiming, where you need to be with your speed because you're so slow. Your map pressure is so much worse than playing someone like Blight. And so when you're doing that, it kind of messes you up, but you're still going against the same survivors you've been playing against as Blight. And so it makes you not want to switch off of Blight if that's been your main for so long. You don't want to play anyone else because everyone else just feels like shit. And not just because he's top tier, but because you're going against people who know what they're doing against these killers you've never played before, which makes it really hard to get any value out of these killers. And I think that's one of the biggest problems, at least on the killer side, is that reason a lot of people stick with like 5 killers is because 1, maybe they only like certain play styles, or 2, it is impossible to play these other killers. I don't play a lot of these killers because they're just either not fun to play in the proper settings, or they are so goddamn hard to play against my current skill level that it's just not fun for me to even try. I will maybe play 1 or 2 every once in a while, but otherwise it's like, oh gosh, here we go again. I'm going to get fucking shit on. I'm going to get no value out of my power because I'm sucking at the macro skill or the micro skill, depending on the situation, and it just feels awful. Now, I know people suggest that maybe putting a ranked mode would fix this, but the thing is, if people want to sweat, they will sweat in any game mode they can. Look at Lights Out. Lights Out had people sweating in it when it was a super casual game mode, and I mean that literally. There was little to no value out of trying to win out of every game out of that. You're not playing the most crazy builds because everyone is perkless, and it was just a funny hee jump scare dot killer build. That's it. That's all that game mode was. And I loved it, but it turned so sweaty so fast. People were looking for ways to get as much value out of the game as quickly as possible, get out, survive, or kill as many people as possible. It was miserable towards the end, and I know that's what a lot of people thought. And the thing is, people will do that in unranked as well. The people who farm salt, they're going to go to unranked. You know what? And that doesn't help anybody. Everyone is tired of people who farm salt. And here we are. We get a ranked mode. They're not going to go to ranked unless they really want people to get really salty about their rank. But the thing is, I don't think people care that much. They'd rather farm common people who aren't trying to sweat their fucking mind out and then shit on them and make them have a bad time anyway. And I think that's the big problem of having a ranked mode. I don't personally care if there's a ranked mode. I probably won't play it because I also think that ranked mode is stressful. And although casual feels like ranked mode a lot of the time, I don't have any macro gameplay stuff I have to think about, like, oh, where's my rank going to go up? Or no, I don't give a shit. I get to just casually play and adapt to the match. Cool. If I'm in ranked, I'm going to be salty when I have a teammate who fucks up as something that they really shouldn't, or if I fuck up something that I really shouldn't. So I think having one game mode is fine because at least it's a mismatch and we don't have a lot of stressors at the end of the day. It's just a game. We can move on to the next game. Ranked mode adds a lot of extra stress. I do not play ranked in my other FPS shooters anymore. I can't. My mental state does not allow me to get into those games without getting super angry very fast. I used to play R6 ranked a lot. I got up to plat. Is it plat in that game? I don't know. That's what I got in Overwatch as well. That's where I stopped. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Fortnite, I don't even touch ranked. I don't really give a shit about Fortnite on that level. I used to live on Siege and Overwatch, so that's why I did care about those games for a long time. And I played them on console, where they were way harder to play. So I was very proud of the places I got. At the same time, though, everyone else was on console, except for they had a lot of mouse and keyboard tie thingies. But anyway, I don't know what they could do to fix SBMM on Dead by Daylight. I think going back to the emblem system might not be the perfect answer, but I would be okay to try it again. I know we had a trial a few years back. I don't really remember how it went. I don't really remember a lot of things when it comes to stuff like that. But I do think this is something that does need some kind of answer because it is pushing people away, even if it is a slow way. And we don't gain enough people into the game to counteract the amount of people that do leave because the games start to feel so sweaty and they don't really want it. And I think that is a problem. I hope that we find some kind of solution. These other game modes that are full casual can really help. I think they need to do a better job of implementing them and making them feel more enticing to play. I thought My Little Oni was not enticing at all to me. I didn't want to play Oni. I don't really like playing Oni. So being forced into that, or being the fact that we had to use only base cosmetics, was also a drag to me. So I stayed away. I understand the coding and why they did that, because they would have to change the size of all the skins. It would get complicated. I get it. Whatever, that's fine. I just was not having a vibe with it. I think that if we go forward with it, I hope they do a lot of changes or do a lot of things to make it more interesting. And that's the same with any other game that they make. Hopefully that it's fun and interesting and it has some kind of staying power that you don't have to go into every single time, but it could be interesting. And I think that's it for today's video. Nothing too crazy. We're just kind of putting my stance on SBMM. I know that it's a complex issue that a lot of people have different opinions on, and go ahead and give me your opinion on SBMM. I know that it might be different than mine. You might really, really like it. You might think it's the best for the game or whatever, which is totally fine. I understand. Anyway, if you guys liked, please hit that like button. I would appreciate it. Also, please subscribe. I try to do daily content. I'm a little slow right now. I was super sick. I'm trying to get back into the swing, and I will go ahead and catch you guys next time. Bye.